we want to get into the playoffs, Dave, and we need to talk about what it's going to take to do that.
Yeah, we've got some tough, what I would call speed bumps in the schedule. All in all, our schedule looks pretty nice, but we've got some tough speed bumps there that we're going to be able to, I think, maneuver around them just because of the way that we've been playing recently, the way that our guys are rested, the way that they didn't overexert themselves during the All-Star break, and they're still going to get a break. To me, this is exactly what this team needs. And getting to that final push, we've talked about it with Shai, is we still think Shai can get to that next level. And, you know, people are like, oh, Shai at another level higher than he is now. Yes, I do. I do think he's not at that level that I believe he can be at this season. I think Josh is the same way. I think JDub's the same way. I think getting JRE back healthy, the emergence of J Will is huge. I think if you're looking at getting Poku back, I would consider Poku back halfway through March as a possibility. To me, this is exactly what this team needs for this push for the playoffs. And we're so close to getting to that moment in that spot that we can just take a deep breath. And I even if we get all of our guys healthy and get our big guys back, I still don't want Coach D to throw out using Kenny Hustle in that 5 position, because he brings that tenacity to that position that's just brilliant.
Yeah, dude. And as Poku comes back, there's a lot of questions about how we're going to use him. I think the sooner that he comes back, the better. But we've also known since the injury that if his recovery time wasn't, kind of at least on time, then there would be no reason to bring him back at the end of the season. Right. So we're still waiting to see how that works out. But in the end, we're talking about the next 25 games, right? That's what we have left in the season. But specifically, we really want to hyper-focus in on the next 10 games, because we really think that depending on how the next 10 games go, it's going to really be the influence on how the final part of the season goes. We're holding the 10th spot for the play-in game right now. So what do we need to do over the next 10 games to at least maintain, if not gain some ground on our positioning?
Well, let's just talk about it. I mean, think about it like in a big meal, right? You're preparing for a big meal, all your friends to come over. There's some basic things to do. The first thing you want to do is set your table, right? Make sure that you got a nice table set, you got a nice counter or a tablecloth out there. You got your plates, you got your beers, you got everything else set, ready to go, so that your friends don't need much more, right? That's what I kind of look at for the next 4 games for the Thunder, is they got to set the table, set the pace to what's going to happen the rest of the 21 games after the February ends. So they have Jazz, Suns, Kings twice. To me, setting the table would, it's a tough schedule, but I feel like setting the table for them would be going 3-1, 2-2 at this point. Allowing them to take a deep breath and recognize that there's 17 games in March. 17. The closest we've had to 17 games was in November. We had 16 games. So 17 games is a shit ton of games for this young guys. I think it's going to be good for them, but we just got to be ready for that. We get prepared for that, set the table, and then after that, dissect each and every game that we have to play, each and every team. Recognize that we, as a unit, are better against teams that are, small. Like we play against Golden State a couple times, right? Small ball there, right? And recognizing that Coach D is going to be using these lineups as deadly weapons against their own, like the Golden State. Small ball is their game, right? Mm-hmm. We go at them with small ball is our game, because our defensive scheme is so much more impactful than Golden State's, and we can make a difference in these times. So it's about understanding the teams that we're playing against and realizing that this team plays better when we're underdogs and we're coming from behind. And we've seen it how many times this year that we've been down by like 14, 15 points and we've stormed back and got the W. That's what this team is about. It's about heart. It's about wanting to do what it takes to win games and go out there and dominate games. And we got to that point in February in late January where this team was blowing teams out. And we forgot what it was like to come back from being down. And now we're getting an opportunity in the last couple of games when we played not the Rockets, but we played against the Pelicans and the Trailblazers, that we came down from a significant amount and we're able to do stuff. So this is what this team needs to be able to do. And we're starting to realize that this team can win with having a lead, and they can win from being down. And once you start recognizing that and feeling that, it changes the way that your swagger happens, and you're changing how these guys believe in themselves. And if you watch how Shai handled himself in the All-Star weekend, he handled himself like a true star would. Like, that's what's beautiful, and that's what's brilliant. He made sure he took care of his guys. He made sure he took care of Giddey and JDub and making sure that these guys were, part of his everyday experience there. And I love the fact that this is what the team is all about, and man, seeing these guys like this, it's just unbelievable. It truly is unbelievable. Like Josh, Shai, and JDub are the future of this team, and they get along so well. It's a brotherhood that started when they were all in their early 20s, and now it's going to bloom into something truly spectacular, with Josh being the youngest of the three, and it's great.
Right, it is, and it's just really exciting to see how much attention he was able to get over all around the All-Star weekend, and
he's passing the ball so well, man.
Yeah, really show out and show up for the team, for his country. It was really impressive, and nothing better than watching that. And I'm just excited, like we keep talking about this final 10-game stretch. Now, we played the Jazz 3 times over the next 10 games, I believe. So, like, that team is not playing as well as they were. Now, I'm not saying they're bad, because, we still have to do some work to catch them, but we could pass them if we just beat them 3 times. And it would be nice if we found a way, to get a few soft wins in the schedule and could find ourselves catapulted into a spot where we're playing for 500 or better over the next 10. The flip side of that is if we don't win, then, very many of the next 10 games, then we're staring down the final 15 games of the season, and we're wondering, are we going to be able to make a push for the playoffs? And my guess is if we win maybe 1 or 2 games out of the next 10, bro, we're packing it in, we're going into player development, and we're going to see which type of draft pick we get. That's really hard to say, because those final 15 games we'll want to win. But the reality is it's a lot to make up if you don't make the push right here, right now. So that's what we're looking for.
Well, and I want to echo that. I do think that would be a possibility if we went, something like 1-9. But I do want to say this is that I don't think that we would be the only team doing that. I think there's other teams here that, especially that we play. I mean, I just counted it. We have 9 games against teams that I consider tanking. And 3 of those games are against Jazz, which I think they want to tank. They don't want to go to the playoffs. They want to tank because the more draft picks they possibly can get, the better. I think that there's 2 spots in here where we play Spurs, Nets, and Raptors, all 3 together, right? And then we have another one here where we have the Blazers, and then we have Hornets, Pistons, and Pacers, right? To me, these are the games that we have to win, okay? And there's no question about it. If we can win, if we can go, 8-1 in these games, right? That's where we're separating ourselves. If we're going to go 3-6 or whatever, then we're fucked. And it's about the development part at that point. But I think these are the indicators that we're going to have to be able to understand exactly where this team is at, because again, it's about getting as many easy wins as possible. And we can't be in a situation where we're playing against the Houston Rockets again and they don't want to win the game and yet they beat us. We can't be in those situations. Like, teams that are trying to tank, it's going to be quite obvious that they're trying to tank. And we've got a couple games against the Lakers here, man. We don't know what's up with them. We don't know what's up with them at all. And, I keep going back to it, like, over and over again. Then we have the Jazz again, another Jazz game. So that's 10 Jazz, 10 games that are winnable, in my opinion. We got a couple Warriors games. We got a Grizzlies game. Like, listen, the Grizzly game, which is the last one of the season, if they already wrapped up their spot, there's no way they're going to go out there healthy. They're not going to put out their entire team out there. They're going to rest Ja and other guys to make sure that they don't get hurt or a technical or anything else like that would suspend them for game 1. So that's what I keep going back to, is that, like, there should be at least 12 games in here that, in my opinion, are must wins. And if we can pull those 12 games out, then we're sitting at a spot where we're 12-13 at worst. And 12-13 is, to me, in my opinion, is still playoff worthy. And that's, to me, that's the worst case scenario. Okay, guys, that's 12-13's worst case in my opinion. Again, we make the playoffs, but barely limp in. I think we do much better. I think we have a chance to win 20 games here, guys. I really do. And it's insane thinking about it, but
So
I think it's possible.
Let's talk about it, because we're talking about potential wins, right? And I want to get your feedback on this, like, right away. Like, what do we need to do on the court to generate that level of wins?
Well, it's breaking down what our team is doing on defense and recognizing if we stepped up slightly a little bit more, what we can do and what the output that we can put out there is, right? And then on top of that is Shai revving it up. Shai stepping it up and showing what a true superstar is able to do when playoffs is on the line. Because that's what we're all sitting here. And everybody's like, can Shai do that? And that's why I think he can. I think this All-Star weekend showed him exactly what's up. He was the 5th player chosen as far as subs go, right? And he got the least amount of playing time. Why is that? Because it's the respect level, you know, and that's what that is. It's he has to earn that, and now he knows that. And how does he earn that? Well, he takes his team to the playoffs when everybody says it's impossible to do. Shai understands that. Shai's going to step up to the next level. He's going to motivate JDub. He's going to motivate Josh, and you're going to see this unit, these 3 guys as a unit, really step up. And that's why I feel like if these 3 guys are at a high level, you know, averaging something around 60-something points a game with 20 assists between the 3 of them, and I don't know, throw in their 30 rebounds, then who's going to think about it? What other 3 guard unit can put up those numbers? And you say that over and over again, and it's an attack. It's attack. It's attack. It's attack. It's a nonstop, like, mental and verbal and physical abuse that these guys are applying on other teams. It's so much. It's like having a little 2-year-old poking at you all day long. Hey, dad, 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 and never stopping. Like, this is what this team does. It's so annoying for other teams and other organizations watching their players try to break out against our guys.
Yeah.
Because we put them all in straitjackets and then make them run around and try to catch the ball. Like, it's impossible.
We got to tell people what we say when nobody's listening. But basically, we think we got Michael Jordan and Shai. We got Magic Johnson and Josh Giddey. And we got Scottie Pippen and JDub. Like, how does that not fucking pump you up? How does that not get you excited about the potential? But obviously, we're young. We need time. But this stretch right here, we're all assuming that we're going to put everything on the line to demand our respect. Demand it now, this year. In the previous years, we've seen...
Think about
Go ahead.
The most iconic thing in Oklahoma football history, all right, in my opinion. All right, there's a lot of shit that's happened with Oklahoma football. But I think about the moment that I was like, holy shit, was when Baker Mayfield grabbed the flag, the OU flag, at the Ohio Stadium and planted it in the dead center of the Ohio Stadium.
Almost planted it.
Almost planted it, yeah. All right. That's what this team needs to do right now. This team needs to go out there, grab the fucking flag, and plant it in the ground and say, we're here, we're fucking going to win, and we're going to show you guys what it's all about. Because the only way that we can ever take these guys and say Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Magic is if these guys are able to win 5 championships together. I mean, that's the only way that we can ever even say that. Because at that point, it brings this team to a whole new level. And for me to even like blink about that, I keep on going back to this. I never want to take for granted when we say dynasty because of what that means and what it will take in order for this team to have a dynasty. But I have yet to see a team that has been built as well as this team has, that as young as this team is, and that has as many draft picks as this team does for the future. So when you put that stuff together, I mean, if Sam Presti did get these 3 draft picks that we're talking about right now, and that's not even adding Chet in there, if he get these 3 draft picks right, and these three draft picks are as dominant as you and I feel they're going to be, like, dynasty is what this is. Like, it's not going to be Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. It's not going to be, you know, Draymond Green and Klay Thompson and Steph. It's not going to be any of those guys. It's going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder was the most dominant dynasty the basketball world's ever known. And that's what we're talking about. So when we throw the names around like this, it's not like we're taking this for granted. It's we're trying to understand what Sam Presti truly built here, because all the signs are pointing to certain players being truly superstars. And it's like, holy shit, if all these guys are superstars, then what are we looking at? We're looking at a dynasty, and that's why we're talking about it.
Boom, baby. Chew on that for a little while. Join us next episode.